I was just about to head out to meet a friend of mine, and I had this crazy thought. What if you were to go and try and buy a car, right? And you went to the dealership, and the dealer told you, well, this car is $15,000, okay? Okay, that's fine. I'm going to go away. I'm going to work for 6 months, and I'm going to save up $15,000, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to buy this car for cash, right? So I go away, I work for 6 months, and I come back with my $15,000. Hey, dealership, I've got $15,000. Can I have the car now, please? And they tell you, it's $32,000 now. It's more than doubled. What? In 6 months? Okay, that's going to take me another 6 months. Do you want the car or not? All right. So I went away and I work again for another 6 months and I save another $15,000. Now I have $30,000. I'm $2,000 short, but in my mind, I'm going to negotiate with the dealership to get a $2,000 discount since I'm buying in cash, or at least maybe lay the rest off or whatever. I get to the dealership and the dealership says, sorry, mate, it's now $48,000. Whoopsies. What? In 6 months, it's gone from $15,000 to $32,000. Another 6 months, it's gone more than 3 times the price. What's going on? You think that was absolutely nuts. Now, if you're a dealer, would you not like to sell a car that behaves like this in terms of value? Well, the one thing that does that, actually, that has done that in the last year is Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin has appreciated in a crazy way, much faster than anybody expected, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. And time is running out because in another 6 months from now, we are going to be looking at Bitcoin at over 100,000. That's just what's going to happen if the trajectory continues. And the trajectory will continue for 2 reasons. First of all, Bitcoin is inelastic and finite, okay? So it's even more finite than any mineral that we have in the world at the moment. It's more finite than gold or silver. Gold only has value, or the value that it has now, because African countries aren't allowed or are being prevented in one way or the other to mine their own gold. If countries like Nigeria, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, Ghana, if these countries, and Somalia, by the way, if these countries started mining gold, the value of gold will plummet by 90%. There is more gold underneath Congo, or even like the Central African Republic, or even Chad. There's enough gold there to completely devastate the supply that we have in the world around today. So those golds that are sitting in all these banks all over the world, in England and France, that are propping up the currencies, those could be devalued very quickly if a massive mining campaign were to happen in West Africa and in Central Africa. So let's put that aside. Also, there are other parts of the world that have gold. There's gold in South America, there's gold in Asia, okay? Now, Bitcoin, on the other hand, the maximum amount can never be improved or increased. You can't create more. It's only going to get more and more scarce. There's ever going to be more and more money running after the same amount of Bitcoin. And what is doubly worrying about that is companies like BlackRock and Fidelity and these big organizations that are buying to seed their ETFs have accumulated so much Bitcoin in such a short period of time. And we're moving into the time where the miners are going to receive less and less Bitcoin for the same effort, which means Bitcoin is going to get even more scarce, even more dear, and more expensive. And only these big companies, these big organizations are going to be able to afford mining them anyway in the first place, or buying them, okay? Now we still have, these giant whales that are selling OTC to these companies at reasonable prices. There's going to come a time when even those whales are going to start to run out, and there's going to be a crunch, and it's going to happen so rapidly and so suddenly and so violently that even the most bullish people like myself and people that are even more bullish about Bitcoin, even us, we're going to have our minds completely blown by how well Bitcoin is going to do in the next coming months, right? Now, if you look at the inception of Bitcoin, when the price of Bitcoin was less than $1, all right, when it was pence or cents rather, if you were to tell that person that in 10 years' time that we're going to be talking about tens of thousands of dollars, they would think you were a psychiatric patient. They would have thought you were completely insane, right? They would have thought you were insane if you ever told them that Bitcoin, the price was going to hit $100. They would have thought you were insane. But look now, we're living in a world where countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like, Japan are going to be buying Bitcoin on a national scale. We have countries that have already bought, albeit very small countries like El Salvador, okay, that have already bought Bitcoin. And that Bitcoin has already served them. You have giant organizations like ARK Invest, MicroStrategy, Grayscale, that kind of pioneered the entry into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies generally by large conglomerate organizations into Bitcoin. But even those big guys, those guys that we consider to be absolutely massive organizations, those guys are now tiny compared to the likes of BlackRock, Fidelity, JP Morgan Chase, and the people that are going to be getting into Bitcoin in ways that we've never seen before. And some of those companies, with the exception of BlackRock maybe, would be absolutely dwarfed by Saudi Arabia, the United States, Germany, these massive countries, when they start to accumulate Bitcoin at the same level that these companies are accumulating at the moment. And the difference between MicroStrategy and BlackRock is that BlackRock has infinitely deep pockets, right? The difference between countries like the United States and BlackRock is that, the United States doesn't have to worry about tax. The United States or government doesn't have to worry about, regulations. They make their own regulations. They make their own taxes. Saudi Arabia is not going to collect taxes from itself. Saudi Arabia is going to buy whatever it wants and hold whatever it wants and do whatever it wants with the money. Okay? They're not like you and I. They're not like retail that have to worry about taxation, regulation. They have an infinite pocket. They have infinite resources, and they're not bound by regulations. And when this gate is opened, when the United States obviously sees that Bitcoin isn't necessarily a threat to the dollar, then the avalanche will begin. But I think that the way we're going, that we're going to see a Bitcoin all-time high this year. In fact, we might just be a few weeks away from a new all-time high. This might be the last chance for average people like you and like me to getting on the action and participate in the world's greatest, transfer of wealth that we've ever seen. Not financial advice, just some thoughts before heading out to meet a friend. I'll see you in the next video. Do your own research. Peace.